like we have everything working. I think we have everything working. Someone give me a thumbs up in the next minute or so if you hear my voice. If you hear my voice, it looks like I got it all restored here. See the joys of testing out new software and hardware and everything, what it does to a computer. But actually it gave me a chance to go take a break. Apparently I had pea soup tonight for dinner, and it was a little bit watered down. I felt like it's more of a prison pea soup tonight, but when you're rushed to do things, I guess I didn't put enough peas in the soup or what have you. It kind of reminds me of, I guess, a Soylent Green based soup right now, but I guess the flavor, as they say, varies from person to person. Anyways, right now Jupiter's about ready to cross the meridian, so I'm about ready to move the telescope again to another target, and I'm going to try and see if I can find another galaxy or something cool to look at. We are focused. If you notice, our stars are coming in a lot tighter now, and as a matter of fact, I'm going to go ahead and make it, the stars show up a little bit better here, or not stars, excuse me, the moons of Jupiter. Before they were very expanded and looked like spread out blobs and everything. Now they should look like tighter blobs, but instead of having a hole in the middle, they're just dancing all over the place due to the nice unsteady upper atmosphere. So we're going to go to another target, though you know what? I still don't like that. So I'm going to go out and just do a little more focus tweaking, and then we're going to move to another target, and I'm going to try and figure out something to go to here that's cool. We're coming up to a lot of galaxies here in the Markarian's chain, which is in Virgo. So maybe we can see something cool over there. Check that out. So enjoy the music while we do a little focusing. Hopefully the computer behaves, and we'll go see some fun stuff, and I'll try and enjoy this Soylent Green soup that I'm having here at the same time. Stay tuned.
Tsavitravarenyam Bargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodayat Om Bhurbhuvah Swaha Tatsavitravarenyam Bargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodayat Om Bhurbhuvah Swaha Tatsavitravarenyam Bargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodayat Om Bhurbhuvah Swaha Tatsavitravarenyam Bargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodayat Om Bhurbhuvah Swaha Tatsavitravarenyam Bargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodayat Om Bhurbhuvah Swaha Tatsavitravarenyam Bargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodayat Om Bhurbhuvah Swaha Tatsavitravarenyam Bargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodayat Om Bhurbhuvah Swaha Tatsavitravarenyam Bargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodayat
Okay, folks, per the request line from Chuck, we are looking at the Needle Galaxy, and actually not too bad considering we have unstable air and a little bit of a breeze going. And so what I'm going to try and do is get a decent exposure of this and actually take several pictures of it, and I'll stack it later on tonight to see if I can pretty it up and everything. On the left, we have a picture from the Malin Cam zoomed in on the 80 millimeter refractor. So so let me bring that up here. If you look carefully on the left, that is from actually an 80 millimeter refractor live stacked view from the Malin Cam Extreme. It wouldn't look like that if you looked in the eyepiece or anything, but that kind of gives you an idea of where it's at and how it looks, and I've zoomed it in, so it's quite a bit grainy, but you can definitely tell it is the Needle Galaxy NGC 4565. On the right is the view from the Canon 60DA, and that is on the 14-inch telescope, and you can see it fills the whole almost the whole field of view there. So that's pretty impressive for this target, but it is faint. It is a magnitude visually of only 9.22, so you do need dark skies. And let me emphasize, these pictures are actually being taken in the Albuquerque metropolitan area. So yes, there's about 1 million people in my area. We're just outside of Albuquerque in the town of Rio Rancho, which is about 100,000 people. So, but these images you are seeing are from an urban location with no filters whatsoever. So both for the Canon and for the Malin Cam. So that's not too bad. And it looks like we're getting a starlock on here soon. So I'm going to go ahead and take a few pictures here on the right side from the Canon, and I'm going to stack them later on and make it a prettier picture for everyone to look at. And I'll be posting this on the on my Instagram and Facebook site and everything. So let's go ahead and take another picture of this. And I'm just doing 15-second exposures here within the city. Partly, I believe, over this area. We're also over my roof of the home a bit, so it's high enough up that we're probably getting some unsteady views and everything. But it does look pretty nice here. This looks like it could be a pretty decent picture when it's all stacked up and everything. So, but if you think about it though, this is pretty impressive that we're able to take pictures like this in an urban location and see the detail that we're doing. I can only imagine after I'm done stacking how this will look and everything. And actually I'm fairly impressed even on the 80 millimeter refractor that we're able to see that edge on. I'm almost tempted to swap cameras and take a wide field view of that target with the Canon, and of course you'll see a live detailed view from the Malin Cam there. But I'm going to keep it on here because there's another couple of targets that would be really nice for the 14-inch that I'd like to use to take pictures of before we maybe switch the optics and everything here. Now you notice when I take these exposures on the Canon now, it is actually doing an automatic dark frame subtraction to take out any noise that we've been pictured. Oh, looks like we got a wind gust that hit it there, so that's not going to be a good exposure. My other suspicion is some of the bright sky does affect starlock when there's not much to lock on in the area. And I'm thinking of a couple other objects we can look at here. Almost tempted to go hunt down the Sombrero Galaxy too. Oh, I know where we're going to go next, folks. I've got a target we're going to go to next. I think we got a couple of close by fun targets here. to just take a few more exposures here of the Needle Galaxy. And again, it's a 15-second exposure. It's actually doing a 15-second dark frame on the Canon, so that's actually a 30-second exposure. It's still not too bad for an urban location. Hey, guess what, folks? The winds have calmed down. Now, I was worried because it was getting so cold out that when the computer gets too cold, the lithium-ion batteries in it have a problem. So I put a nice blanket over it, usually to protect it. The winds have completely died, and the computer got very, very, very warm under the blanket. So it shut down for a moment, and so it's restarting itself to cool down and everything. Yes, the blanket has been removed from the laptop. It is literally gone completely calm outside. I don't know about the upper air how that's looking, but down below it is calm out, and I want to say it feels like the mid-50s range. I'll have to check on that. So give a moment. We're going to get this other laptop cooled down and back online, and then we will finish this image. And I have another target in mind that we're going to, there are actually two more targets that look really cool, and then let's try and go to the Sombrero Galaxy next. So stay tuned. Chuck has picked out such a great target for me to image. I didn't even think about this tonight. I'm going to take a few pictures of this. Now, what you see going on the left, that's still the Mellencamp view, and there she is. The Needle Galaxy's been hanging tight right at its spot. On the right I'm using a different software now called Nebulosity, and what it's allowing me to do is capture a whole sequence of images of the Needle Galaxy. And here I'm doing 30-second exposures at ISO 3200, and I'm going to take about 6 more of these, and then later on I'm going to stack it and clean it up and try and take out some of the noise, and let's see what kind of picture we get here. And I'm really pleased how this one's coming out. Starlock is tracking it right now too. There's a little LED on the Starlock guide system on the LX850 that if it's flashing, it means it's not locked onto anything, but if it's a solid red, it's locked onto something. Well, in this case, it's locked onto something, and here you can see very nicely the Needle Galaxy. Now, I'm not using, again, any filters for this image. The other thing you'll notice is that with this 30-second exposure, even with the lower ISO setting, it's looking, not only is the galaxy looking brighter, the sky around it is looking brighter. And that's the sky glow due to being here in Albuquerque, New Mexico, or just outside of it. There's about 1 million people in the area, so that adds to the glow here, to the image and what have you. So I'm going to try and limit this one to about 30 seconds for this target here at this ISO setting, and there's a few more, so it's actually 30 seconds per exposure, but then it's taking oops, that's not a good exposure. There's going to be 30 seconds then for the dark frame. So we're going to see that in this whole picture here, and unfortunately, my suspicion is whenever you see a little motion like that, again, it's either a breeze just picked up, which this could be that, or what it means is Starlock for some reason lost its target and is trying to correct for that. And when it corrects, it makes sometimes a line like that, but there has been occasional gusts, and that's the one problem with the big telescope in an area like this. Though I look at the Mellencamp view, and it's holding really tight in position. There's no streaking whatsoever, so it could be the wind didn't help that case there. So we've got a few more pictures here, and a few more pictures of the Needle Galaxy, and then we're going to go to something else here. I got a couple more targets that we're going to look at. Yeah, there's a really good image of the Needle Galaxy, and there's 3 more we're going to take of it right here. How's that look, folks? That is really cool with the dust lane there. I'm going to be very curious. I'm actually surprised, again, in such an urban location with no filter, that we're actually seeing the dust lane as well as we are right now. So I'm pleasantly surprised and very pleased. Could be the atmosphere maybe beginning to stabilize down. Could be the fact that I'm also 5,300 feet above sea level. It could be the fact our humidity is probably right now around 20%. So that all kind of helps here in imaging in such an urban location. Now once we're done here, again, we're going to move to 2 more targets that are coming up, and then we'll go hunt down the Sombrero Galaxy and take a look at that. Yeah, there's another beautiful image of another exposure. So it looks like that one blip we had was probably due to a puff of wind came through and moved the telescope, because looking on the left side, the Mellencamp is holding that view really locked in, and on the right we're getting that same thing here. So I'm really pleased with this. We've got 2 more exposures to go, and I won't process this till later on, so So those who want to hang around and watch me process this image and see what kind of life I can bring out of it, you're welcome to stay later on. But we're going to then hop around to a few other cool targets. And, well, this is very cool too. I'm really excited. This is the first time I actually have taken a picture of this galaxy. I've seen it briefly a couple times, but I've never taken a picture of it. So thank you, Chuck, for the suggestion. And I'm having fun with this one right here, and getting excited with each image here. And of course, the higher up it goes. Now, if you notice that picture, it looks brighter than the previous one. And so that tells me, when it gets bright like that, that either A, well, it tells me the one key thing is it probably means a cloud may have gone in front of us, and then even a tiny little cloud, and of course it reflects more of the light. Or it could be a car drove by and shined its light. So that's interesting. The first couple were fairly dark. This one's quite bright. You know, when I do these frames, and sometimes I'll take a 5, 10, 20-minute exposure, and I then set the process to go do its own thing, and I'll go check out the ideas. Then I don't have to worry about it and watch a thing. But in this case, but usually what ends up happening is I don't go off and do something else. I say, oh, what's the next picture going to look like? What's the next picture going to look like? And then I don't get anything done. Sequence is done, and it looks like we got several very, very good images here. I am really excited with this one. Well, let's go ahead and get out Nebulosity. We've got, looks like, a total of 6 really good pictures to work with. And I'll go, this is not like taking 100 frames and stacking and processing, but we can get a very decent picture here in an urban location here with 6 or 7, at least certainly get an idea of what's going on. So I'm going to quit out Nebulosity. Because it turns out Nebulosity does not like, even though Nebulosity and the Canon utilities work with Canon cameras nicely individually, they don't play nice together. So we have to quit Nebulosity, and I'm going to go ahead and start up the Canon EOS utility, and that will be our guide. And we'll slowly start up. And while it's starting up, I'm going to get my next target in line, and this should be fun. Okay, I want to go right here. Okay. By the way I'm controlling my telescope, I actually have a Wi-Fi connection to the telescope, talking to Sky Safari on my iPad inside my office. So I can do all my control nice and remotely from the comforts of my office. Though once it starts getting really nice outside, I set up outside and work from outdoors. We're going to go to the next target now, and let's see how this looks. And while this is going, let's see, I'm going to go ahead and adjust. By the way, if you notice this view of the Needle Galaxy that we've got here, is it, oops, hold on. This is actually a live 3-second exposure. So if you look at this Malincan view here of the Needle Galaxy, that is a live video feed. That's really impressive. Especially being in an urban location, especially being in not only an urban location, but also an urban location on an 80mm refractor. So that's pretty decent there. So let's go ahead and go to our next fun target. And is it going to do it? I've got to hit the right button here, though. Let's see. Oh, because I need to connect the telescope. I'm hitting this button on my screen, and it's not. I just noticed it did not connect to the telescope. Now we are going to go to our next target. So hit the go to button, and the screen should start streaking away on the Malincan and on the Canon. Let's see. moving there. You can tell the telescope's moving because it's streaking away. And right now is centering on the star, and I know I'm going to say it wrong, Vin de Matrix. And it's going back and forth, back and forth. And then once it's centered it and it's figured out where it's at in the universe, it's going to move to our final destination. And let's see how well this looks. And I think I see my target already in a live feed. Yeah, I think we've got this target here. Let me go ahead, I'm going to remove the label because we're no longer looking at the needle galaxy. Let's go ahead. I'm going to center this just a little bit. Let's see. Definitely want, oops, let's go here. And you can probably guess it looks kind of tiny here in the Malin cam view, but we have the power of our cannon, so let's do this. And this is going to be just a very quick picture here, because I think it's going to tell us a lot really quick. Yep, and we're off just a little bit, so I'm going to center this a little more. I'm going to go to the left and up. Let's go ahead and start integrating here. Zoom just a little bit. This is actually the star cluster M53 that we're looking at. And if you notice on the Malin cam, it's a fairly small target. So a small target and an 80mm looks really small. But we're armed with our 14-inch telescope. So let's go ahead and get a picture here. I think I've got it centered. Let's see this. I don't know if Starlock has done its magic, so it could be a little streaky. Oh, there it is. So there is M53. You know, I should label this thing. This is actually a globular cluster in Coma Berenices. And let's go ahead and do something a little bit longer. Let's make that a longer exposure here. See how that one looks, and I'm going to go ahead and label this so our audience can see what we're looking at. It's not clear if Starlock is locked into it yet. it should have by now. Looks like there's definitely some stars for it to lock in on. But again, if there's any high clouds coming through, that really messes up with things. We'll find out fairly quick here. There we go. Yeah, it's a little brighter. Part of it's the urban location, but I'm wondering if there's some high clouds coming in, because usually it shouldn't be that bright. But let me, well, it says it's clear. Okay, I just pulled up the weather map. It's clear. There's a very thin, hazy layer above the area, and that's why you see what you see in these pictures. And sometimes there could be in the hole in the sky that makes it nice and dark and things contrast, like we saw with the Needle Galaxy. So that's why this is looking brighter than it does, because, well, we have some very high clouds coming through. That's not fun. But let's see if we can tease out something here. Oops, I let that exposure go way longer than I wanted to. So my bet is this is going to be really bright due to the clouds, and potentially could be streaky because, well, there's high clouds. It makes it a little challenging. Very thin clouds, it does make it challenging to track on something here. So I'm going to play the music. I'm going to play with the camera and get some more pictures and see what we can do. So stay tuned, folks. Okay, on to another fun target. We've got a couple star clusters out of the way. I want to hit another fun object here, but I want to try and do it before it gets before it flips the meridian. I don't want to do a meridian flip here or anything. So we're moving the telescope, or it's moving on its own, and I'm doing it from the comfort of my office here. And so you know stars streaking by both left and right hand side. And let's see if I'll have a surprise ready for you.